Okay, so today we're talking about E sounds. So the riff we're going to be working on is kind of like a bluesy kind of rock riff. And rather than focusing on major and minor sounds, we can just have a look at E sounds in general. And I remember one of my teachers said this to me one day, and I was like, what do you even mean by that? So I'm basically going to go through and explain that in a little bit more detail. I kind of had to figure it out for myself, which is hopefully what I'll inspire you to do as well, is to start experimenting and figure some things out for yourself. So the basic idea is that we get a bit scared about improvising because we're worried we're going to hit the wrong notes. But what I found, or what I learned in high school, is that one of my teachers also said to me, is that safety is only one note away. So if we're playing in a certain key, there's 7 notes that are sort of in, and then there's out of a possible 12 notes. So given the law of averages, we're going to hit one note more often than not. It's going to work if we just hit any note at random. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of an experiment, sort of playing a chromatic scale. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us a bit of a safety net. It's going to help us understand that even if we hit a wrong note, we can move either side of that note to find something that's going to be a little bit more in. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to play basically around some sort of chromatic ideas to get an understanding of how that will work in relation to a piece of music. Because if we've played all the wrong notes and we get an understanding of how we can move to a note that's going to work, when we're improvising and creating music, we're going to have a little bit more freedom with that. Because if we hit something that we're not used to, in practice, it's always a little bit more scary than if we've actually figured out what works and what doesn't work for us. So here's a bit of a demonstration of that. So the riff that I'm going to be playing is like this. So it's like an E kind of groove thing with a couple of other chords on the end. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically play through an E chromatic scale, and then I'm going to play that over the top of the music so it makes a little bit more sense. So I'm basically just playing fret after fret, and I have to move around a bit because of the guitar, but that's in the supporting material that you can find in the Dropbox. So here I'm going to do is just starting on E on the 7th fret, I'm just going to play a chromatic scale, so step by step all the way up to sort of E on the 12th fret. So, and that's our end point. Cool, so that's every note in a 2-octave chromatic scale in the key of E, if that's what we can call it. Okay, so here's a backing track. I don't know whether that's going to sound very good through the speakers, but we'll see how it goes. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to experiment a little bit with that chromatic scale over the top of this riff.